Hi, my name's Andy. I work with Space to Breathe, and this is this week's Shush. 15 minutes to reflect, get some space, get some time to think about you. And during this current lockdown, we're particularly trying to think about things that enable you to be aware of yourself and to take time off the treadmill, to stop for a little while, and to look at how you're doing. And to look at some of the things that are going on physically, internally, in your emotions, in your thoughts, in your life that can affect your well-being. This week's Shush is called One Day at a Time, and it's fairly self-explanatory. We don't know how long this big stretch of lockdown is going to last. I just want to think for a moment about what happens if we take things one day at a time. But to begin with, let's take a moment to be still, to take some deep breaths. Maybe just let out the tension with a and then find a really relaxed, gentle rhythm of breathing. Find a spot to focus on out of your window or where you're walking or in the wall of the room that you're in, or if not, just at the screen. And take a moment just to be still. We're just going to be present with ourselves with no agenda, nothing to do or organise or say. We're just going to be still for a few minutes. Be aware of yourself, your body. Just be still and present with you. Begin to become aware of all the things you're feeling and thinking. Don't do anything with them, just become aware of them. Maybe listen to your own breathing, or feel the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. And allow yourself to be still for a while. There's no pressure here, there's no things you've got to achieve or do. You can put the to-do list aside for a little while and just be still. The Dalai Lama once said, "Live life one day at a time and make it a masterpiece." I wonder how your masterpiece is going right now. It might not feel like there's an awful lot of masterpiece taking place in our lives. This is such an odd time. Many of us are indoors most of the time. Maybe you're trying to juggle homeschooling and responsibilities of family with working at home, or complex kind of decisions that you've got to make about your work or your future. Even just getting the daily tasks of doing shopping and where I can exercise, and all the confusion about things, it might not feel like much of a masterpiece. But in that well-known quote, he then goes on to talk about the things that make your day a masterpiece. And it's things like believe in yourself, hang on to your dreams. Friends and family are hidden treasures, seek them and enjoy their riches. Make it happen. Open your arms to change. Quality, not quantity, in anything you do. It's about things like reaching out to other people. It's about being the most of yourself. It's about being kind, or being thoughtful, or being hopeful. And I don't know about you, but immediately that kind of masterpiece becomes a little bit more achievable for me. we often talk about what do I need and what can I give. So let's start there. Think about you today and think about what do I need today. What are the things that would help me in my life right now? And what are the things that are things I really need right now? Become aware of them. And maybe in doing so, there might be solutions that present themselves too. Think about, what do I need? And think about, what can I give? Who are people around you that might need a little bit of support right now? Who can you phone? If you're fed up of Zoom, give them a phone call. Who could you write a letter to? Or send an email? Or get in touch with? What about people in your house? If you're with other people, how might you be someone that is helpful to them today? Or what about the people you met yesterday? Reflect on those kind of conversations. Maybe you had conversations with people online. Well, that's the way we're meeting people right now. But is there somebody that you can go back to and say, hey, I've been thinking about you? Or maybe somebody you've not talked to for a long time. Or maybe you see a post on social media that makes you think somebody needs a little bit of something. Or maybe you can contribute to a charity giving food parcels. Or maybe you can volunteer. What can I give today? So what do I need and what can I give? Live one day at a time and make it a masterpiece. Spend a little bit of time just reflecting on that before we move on. There's been a lot of kind of humorous wisdom directed at the idea of one day at a time. Abraham Lincoln said, the best thing about the future is that it comes one day at a time. Bob Dylan once wrote, there's only one day at a time here, then it's tonight, and then tomorrow, and will be today again. One thing we know is that we have today, and today is in front of us. And yet there's so much that's happening right now that feels like it's forcing us to think about the future. Once the vaccine comes, once lockdown lifts, once this happens, and yet what do we know? We are adrift in a storm. And we're still trying to work out and read the weather. One day at a time helps us make sense of now, but also make the most of now and flourish in the now. And the way I want to describe it to you is like this. I wonder if you've ever gone camping and needed to get up at night, and you go out with your torch, and your torch is looking a little bit ahead, but most of all it's guiding the ground in front of your feet. You don't want to trip over a guy rope, or you don't want to like step in something or fall over somebody. And so you're very conscious of your immediate steps. What would happen if we viewed life like that? It changes our viewpoint of the horizon. Occasionally you have to put your torch forward and see what's ahead of you. But actually you're thinking more about the next few steps. What would happen if I looked at life and thought, not what's going to happen in a month or two's time, but what do I need to do today? Or what's needed today? Or maybe today and tomorrow? What are the next few steps? Or when we consider a problem, to think, okay, can I break it down into what do I need to do first? What's my next step? Imagine walking through a wood and being aware, really conscious, really mindful of your steps. Imagine just 1 foot at a time. That's my rather bad slippers. But imagine that 1 foot at a time, crunching into the earth. It slows you down. And you become more aware of each thing and the sensations. I don't know about you, but so think about that. I imagine a frosty ground and I can hear the crunch of leaves, frosted leaves under my feet. We tend to appreciate life a little bit more when we go a bit slower and we're mindful of it. And one of the aspects of mindfulness is we spend so much time in the future that we miss the present. So I'm going to suggest 2 ideas that can help you to go one day at a time. The first one is this: to be aware of gratefulness for today. So would you take a few minutes and just consider 3 things that you are grateful for today, about today? It's not been an easy time recently, and we've tended, particularly on kind of all the social media platforms, to slightly trash talk last year and this year. And yet I'm conscious that last year saw the birth of a number of new movements around equality and social justice. Well, not so much the birth, but the real awakening of things like Black Lives Matter. I'm grateful for that. Last year I learned some things that have helped me grow. Last year things took place that were good as well as bad. And as we go into 2021, it's like, oh, guys, it's already starting in quite a chaotic way. But actually there are good things around us. There are good things to talk of. There are good things. So I'd like you to find 3 things that you're grateful for today, and maybe repeat this process. There's so much evidence to suggest this really helps our well-being. So try and think of 3 things. What's thing 1 you're grateful for? What's thing 2? And what's thing 3? Being present, taking those slow steps, enables us to appreciate one day at a time. So let's do that with gratefulness. And the second thing is this, that as we stop looking at the horizon, or we maybe look at the horizon in a different way, and with our torch in the campsite we're seeing the steps that are in front of us, we begin to lessen our expectations about what's way ahead and start having better expectations of what we do more. So many people in the UK are facing incredibly difficult decisions and choices and situations right now. And if that's you, we want to stand with you. But something that can help is to say, right, well, okay, what's next? So consider that tricky thing that you're facing right now. And just think, well, what's next? And each time you face the thing that's next, well, then what's next after that? Take life one day at a time and make it a masterpiece. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's Shhh. We hope you found it helpful. I hope you're well and that those around you are well and safe. Take care of yourselves, and we will see you again next Wednesday for another Shhh, but we really hope we'll see you again in person very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.